Jamie.
But on the first day, Jamie Fischer gets the itch to go climbing.
Check it out, mate.
Their ski resort is at the foot of one of the greatest climbs in the French Alps, the north face of Les Droites.
Jamie, I know, but I'm supposed to be on holiday with my girlfriend.
You're not looking. It's the north face of Les Droites we're talking about, which we agreed we'd do, huh?
The north face of Les Droites is a treacherous climb. But it's exactly the kind of challenge Jamie Fischer relishes.
What do you reckon?
Jamie was really a true mountaineer. That was his big calling in life. He often seemed to think about nothing else.
So basically, we'll overnight at Le Grand Montet in order to get an early start in the morning. 3-hour brisk walk, we're at the foot of the face.
Okay.
Jamie Fischer is determined not to let this opportunity pass. But first, he has to persuade his best friend.
We got a week of this window. Perfect weather.
A week?
A week. There's no reason why we can't tick this off. You won't even know we're gone. We'll be back before you know it.
It would have been very nice to just spend the whole week on the slopes, skiing, snowboarding, having fun, just being with our friends. But both of us knew that we had something within us deeper that was driving us to do more.
You know, you're really going to get him into trouble one of these days, Jamie.
And? Cheers.
Cheers. Salut.
Le Droit.
The Droites.
Once the decision was made, Jamie and I were set. We were going.
The two Jamies take the cable car to the top station, 10,000 feet up the mountain. They'll spend the night there to get a head start in the morning.
I certainly was getting very nervous about it by now. You know, even with all the experience I had under my belt, you know, you always get nervous before a big climb. And I always find I reach this stage in the night where I kind of wish that there's a big storm going to come in and I can call the whole thing off. I remember opening my eyes and seeing Jamie pacing about. He'd obviously not been able to sleep either, and he'd got up and was wandering about.
Come on, Sleeping Beauty. Time to go.
Just give me a minute, okay?
Come on, stop whinging. Get ready.
Okay, I'm up.
The next day, the two Jamies set off to begin their climb of Les Droites.
It was a long, hard trudge up the glacier. Jamie was much more up for it that morning, and I was feeling pretty ropey with the altitude and general nerves. And I could hear him singing to himself as he trudged through the snow.
Anyone ever told you got a really lovely singing voice, Jamie?
Yeah, they told me I got a beautiful voice.
He could sometimes be frustrating, but, you know, he was great company.
And as dusk falls on the first afternoon, the two friends find a ledge to rest up for the night.
Well, mate? Yeah.
You don't expect great luxury in these circumstances.
Huh?
You don't expect 3-star hotels, but we were pretty happy with that.
Your room will be ready in a sec, Mr. Andrews.
Oh, thank you very much.
You know, being able to get into our sleeping bags, to get lying down, to get a hot drink, that was good enough for us.
Good day, huh?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
It will crack it for sure tomorrow.
Yeah.
We were both feeling elated. We were bang on target at that stage. We were exactly halfway, which was what we'd hoped.
As dawn breaks, the two men set off on the final ascent to the summit. A sheer vertical ice face, one of the toughest climbs in the Alps.
There's no ledges on the face where you can take a break. And so it is very tiring on your calves, your calf muscles. Essentially, you're standing on your tippy toes all day. By about lunchtime on that second day, we were feeling pretty confident at that stage. We were feeling that, you know, we were going to reach the top within a few hours.
They make great progress. But 800 feet from the summit, conditions suddenly change.
I don't like the look of those clouds, mate!
It had been perfectly clear the 1 minute. The next minute we looked up and there were these clouds rolling over the summit ridge of the mountain. We realised that this was a pretty serious storm that was coming in. It wasn't long before the snow started falling. It just became phenomenal. It very quickly became very, very heavy indeed.
In just a matter of minutes, the two climbers have been slammed by a vicious alpine blizzard.
But we weren't too worried at this stage. You don't expect to be able to climb a mountain face like that without encountering some bad weather.
But far from blowing over, the storm rapidly intensifies.
I've never experienced anything like it. It was just piling down onto our backs and rucksacks. You know, literally faster than we could shake it off. It was just incredible.
Then suddenly, the fresh snow triggers the thing climbers fear most. Mountain avalanches.
You just have to hold onto your ice axes as tightly as possible. Just close your eyes and hope for this avalanche to pass. It was horrendous climbing in those conditions. It was just really, really, really hard.
The two friends are now clinging to the side of the mountain, knowing every step could be their last.
It became a job of survival. There were great periods of time when we couldn't see each other. It was just impossible climbing in such horrendous conditions. So it was pretty tough.
They now face a life or death decision.
Jamie! Woo! This is something, huh? Yeah, but what do we do?
Abandoning their climb would mean descending the 3,000 feet of treacherous ice below them. In the raging blizzard, and with a broken ice axe, the two Jamies know that what began as an exciting adventure has turned into a potentially deadly climb.
I was beginning to think that we would never reach the top. It just seemed to be going on and on forever. But it was Jamie who suddenly let out this yell.
I'm found somewhere!
And I knew from his tone that this was it. He'd made it. He was at the top. Suddenly, both there we were on the top, on the summit ridge. And that was great. That was fantastic.
But as the night wears on, far from abating, the mountain blizzard intensifies.
It did start to enter our heads that we couldn't survive this indefinitely. And we started to think that maybe this storm's never going to pass.
By morning, there's still no let-up in the weather.
The storm, if anything, it only got worse. Because the snow is now accompanied by this powerful wind. That was bringing with it, much lower temperatures and much more unpleasant conditions.
This isn't good! What do we do?
Stay put!
What?
Wait for the storm to die down! We can't go anywhere in this!
It didn't take us long to decide that it would be lethal trying to head off down the mountain in those conditions. The same physically demanding situation as yesterday, but with very much more dangerous avalanche risk. So we were effectively trapped. I knew that Jamie wouldn't ask for that kind of help unless he really needed it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, good idea. Let's get to your bag, it's bigger, okay? Okay.
Jamie knows his best friend is desperate, and that he must get into his sleeping bag to keep him from freezing. But on the tiny ledge, every move is racked with danger.
Okay, I'm gonna get into your bivvy, all right?
So it was really awkward trying to wriggle into this tiny bag. Both of us were slipping about all over the place and losing perches. And then suddenly...
Jamie, I'm slipping! Jamie! Jamie!
I was sliding, and I couldn't stop myself. I tried to reach out to grab something. You're just falling in the blackness of the night. And my heart was in my mouth.
Jamie is saved by his climber's rope attached to his waist. But he's now left dangling above a 3,000-foot precipice.
Jamie!
Climb up!
Jesus Christ, help me, Jamie!
Calm down!
His friend can do nothing to help him.
You gotta climb the rope!
I can't do it!
You can! Keep calm! It's okay! You gotta climb up!
Jamie's only way out is to pull his own body weight back up the rope as the storm rages around him.
But the rope was cold and icy and really quite thin.
Exhausted from 3 days without food, water or sleep, every inch of the climb is torture. And halfway back up the rope,
And I remember plunging back down to where I'd started from.
Jamie!
I'm stuck, Jamie, I'm stuck!
Calm down! You just gotta climb the rope!
And so the next time, with a monumental effort, I pulled myself up this rope and landed myself with a great heave back onto the ledge. It was a big fright. But I guess I also realized that really all we had to do now was just stay where we were and survive. And eventually a rescue would be able to get us off there.
all they can do is try to keep each other warm in the -22-degree temperatures and pray that the storm passes.
We would spend the night just waiting for the first light of dawn, because it was only the dawn that could ever bring a hope.
But the next day, the blizzard just gets worse and worse.
As the morning came in and the storm carried on raging on, it became more and more depressing. The thought that this storm was never going to pass.
They've had nothing to drink or eat now for 72 hours. Both men are severely dehydrated. And in the Arctic conditions, Jamie Fischer is succumbing to the effects of hypothermia.
I know that we both must have had thoughts that maybe we wouldn't be making it down alive.
It's starting to break. Jamie, the weather's starting to break.
I looked out, and there, for the first time in days, we could see the mountain peaks on the other side of the valley. We heard that unmistakable thud, 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 thud. And straight away, they saw us. That was just an incredible moment. We were rescued. We were down in the valley. We were having hot baths and hot meals, and all that went through our heads.
But as the helicopter attempts to hover directly overhead, it's pushed back by fierce mountain winds.
Where are they gone?
We realised what the difficulty was. It couldn't hover anywhere near us because of the massive updrafts that blew up the mountain face.
Time after time, the helicopter is forced back. Finally, the pilot manages to get within yards of the stricken men.
We could literally see his face. It was really being thrown about all over the place like a toy.
Close now, come on!
At any moment, it looked like it might be dashed against the rocks on the ridge either side of where we were trapped.
But at the last moment, the pilot loses his battle with the wind and is forced to abandon the rescue.
Help!
I can't describe how gutted we were to be left there on the mountain on our own. It just felt even more lonely being there, having seen other people for the first time in days, and then just be left abandoned to our fate on the mountain again.
Thousands of feet up a mountain, without food, water, or shelter. All hope of rescue is now gone. But the brief drop in the wind allows them to light the stove to melt ice for water.
It was Jamie who suggested it. I thought he was crazy trying to actually get the stove burning on this ledge between us. And that was just unbelievable. Just the first time in 3 days that would have been that any liquid had passed our lips. To have some hot, sweet tea was just incredible. And that probably saved our lives that night.
But the pleasure is short-lived. The end of the gas means no more water, and they are still severely dehydrated.
It was incredible that we'd survived so far, but we did begin to lose that battle for survival.
Jamie Fischer is becoming delirious. Gripped by hypothermia, his organs are starting to shut down, and not enough blood is reaching his brain.
Come on, Jamie. You know where we are, Jamie. Tell me where we are.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Come on, Jamie. Come on, Jamie. Tell me where we are. Come on.
Sometime later, and I have no idea how much later, I opened my eyes again. And the first thing that I saw was rays of sunshine as they lit up all the mountain peaks all around me. Moments later, I heard that helicopter approach. And this time I knew that somehow they were going to rescue me. Somehow they were going to get me out of there. I was spinning 1,000 meters above the glacier in space in what was literally one of the most spectacular and daring rescues in the history of the Alps. I knew that I'd made it. I'd been rescued and I was going to live.
But the rescue had come too late for Jamie Fischer. His body was taken down from the mountain shortly afterwards. Jamie Andrew underwent surgery to save his life. Surgeons amputated his dead, frostbitten limbs, which were poisoning his blood.
They were very dark days indeed, those first few days after the accident. But on the other hand, I knew that this was to be the low point in my life, and now I could get on with the job of putting my life back together again.
For Jamie Andrew, years of reconstructive surgery and rehabilitation followed. But the memories of those 5 days on the ridge are never far away.
I had survived. I was a lucky one. And so I started to make up my mind that I was going to take on this challenge that had been thrown in front of me, and I was just going to treat it like the next big mountain that I had to climb. And so that's really what I've done, just taking it one step at a time. I have rebuilt my life.